Krishna Kirtan Ganana Tanaparo
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone, welcome Francesca, welcome Jay, Pandava Prabhu Bhagavati Mataji Prakash, Hare Krishna. Welcome to see everybody coming here tonight, and let's have some very nice celebration and very nice program. Hare Krishna. So, can we start off with a little bit of Kirtan? We have a lot in stock. We have some quizzes, we have all kinds of activities. Pandava Prabhu, Bhagavati Mataji, can you give us a little bit of Kirtan, expert Kirtanias, with guitar and so on? That would be very nice.
Hare Krishna, yes.
Hare Krishna.
The microphone is all yours, Pandava Prabhu.
Sorry. Oh.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Something was wrong.
That sounds like the strings of a guitar to me.
Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Panchatattva 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Hey, Hare Krishna, Pandava Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the beautiful Kirtan. Now,
that was little variation of Christmas carol at the beginning.
Yeah. One of the most famous in Poland, melody and text from 18th century.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
And it is that actually the Krishna is controlling everything. Krishna is God, and the different traditions should look for common aspects, and it is possible to connect.
Thank you, Bhagavati Mataji. Just one thing, it was, I don't know if it was just my side, I would ask you, Jay, to confirm, it was very loud and distorted, and I couldn't even turn the volume down. Was it just because I messed around with my system yesterday, so it could be my side, or was it very loud for you as well, Jay?
No, it was good for me.
So it's just my side, yes. So, but now it seems to be, when Bhagavati spoke, it seems to be okay. Okay, Hare Krishna. Merry Christmas. Christmas. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So, you want to speak a little bit about Jesus Christ and Srila Prabhupada and the Vedas.
No,
and Krishna consciousness.
We would like just to say a few words because it is Christmas Day and all over the world people are celebrating this day. So I remember in the early days of Hare Krishna movement, in Poland at least, it was emphasized something which attracted me very much, namely, actually, we should be aware that God is one. It's not that Krishna and Jesus, and this is one God who is worshipped in different ways all over the world. And according to what we know from the Gospels, even in the form we have it now, we can understand that Jesus Christ was a pure devotee and guru interested in spreading Lord's holy name and Lord's glories. And we can find some in some places we can find that Srila Prabhupada was always respectful towards Jesus Christ, giving his life sometimes as an example and as a sacrifice for even to the end, to the sacrifice for God consciousness. So Krishna, that's why Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing that Krishna consciousness is not the sectarian group which is emphasizing only one understanding and one like person and is criticizing the other ones, as quite often sometimes it's happening, but it is on the basis of this very logical truth that there is one God. We should respect, and we should even kind of celebrate even the appearance of the holy of the pure devotee like Jesus. So Krishna Kshetra Swami also is sometimes in his lectures is mentioning that. So although nowadays Christmas in some places is very commercialized, and for many people Christmas is only buying presents and good food and days off, but actually the basis even of the word Christmas is from Jesus Christ, from the spiritual aspect. And also I remember while thinking about today that I was told by the devotees long time ago, and Pandava Prabhu is also confirming that, and also I read today, and it was kind of a quotation from Srila Prabhupada, but I'm sorry, I cannot say from where, that actually Jesus brought the name of Krishna to the Western world or to the world, because in some regions, as I was told, in some regions of India, Krishna is pronounced like Christa, and Christos is of course Greek word, but there is another kind of link between the teachings of Jesus, which and again, people know different things, and especially those who never read gospel. But we are from Poland, so we were brought up in this atmosphere. So the main aspect of Jesus's teaching was love of God. This was the first commandment above the 10 commandments. Love of God and love the other people, like love other people. So love, we know from the Vedas, is prema and is bhakti, devotion. I don't know, something else. And I don't know. This is, of course we could talk more, but we don't want to. But in Polish tradition, maybe in Polish tradition is still present, I would say, even nowadays in these difficult times. This is still present, this kind of spiritual aspect, because of the Christmas carols. Practically, I would say every Polish knows at least one Christmas carol, the text, the melody, and they are always connected to Jesus, to pure devotee. And also Christmas Eve, for Polish people, Christmas Eve is more important than Christmas, actually in a sense, like a tradition. But what is important, Christmas Eve dinner consisted of 12 dishes, was actually vegetarian, except for fish, but mostly it was vegetarian, always. And people still in Poland still do that. So it's like kind of, I would say, for me, it's like the echo of old times and old traditions, which are present. Okay, sorry.
Thank you very much, Bhagavati Mataji. Very nice. Can I just chip here in elaborate a little bit more about Christus, Christo, Krishna? Right? Welcome, Jayanti Bai here. Welcome, Ben. There is actually a little booklet, a small book called Christos, Christo, Krishna. I was wondering today why in Germany, when I was living in the temple, this book was very much publicized. It was printed. I don't know if it here in English language, it is, I've never seen it in print as a separate book, but that has been included in the Science of Self-Realization. So that today I got inspirational, I got this answer, because it is a dialogue between Srila Prabhupada and Pater Emanuel Winklausen or something like that. A monk which follows Orthodox rites, and they met in Germany, and they had a walk, and Srila Prabhupada spoke with a priest, and that was a basis of the little booklet Christus, Christo, Krishna. So what is a beautiful book. I read that early on in my Krishna consciousness life. Pater Junklausen, that was his name, Emanuel Junklausen. He asked Srila Prabhupada, he was agreeing with everything what Srila Prabhupada was saying. And he was asking, now we chant also mantras in the Greek language. And that mantra which we are chanting, which I'm chanting on beads every day, just like the devotees chant Hare Krishna mantra. That mantra, roughly translated, means, please, Jesus Christ, be merciful unto us. And so he was asking Srila Prabhupada, is that the bona fide mantra? And Srila Prabhupada said, yes. The name of Christ, of Krishna is there. And he gave green light to just carry on chanting that mantra. So it was beautiful. And within that conversation, it came out, as Bhagavati Mataji has just pointed out, that Christos is a Greek, Christos. And in India, particularly in the western provinces, people say Krishna, Krishna. Instead of Krishna, say Krishna. And then we have Krishna. And so actually, it's the same word, Christos or Christ or Krishna, it's the same. And in that conversation, some very important point came out. Jesus Christ revealed the name of the Father. Right? Very interesting. And we all have two names, a first name and a surname, like Chai and Patel. So Jesus and his surname, so to speak, is Christ. So means Jesus, the son of Christ, Christus, Krishna. So in that conversation, Srila Prabhupada said, Jesus revealed the name of the Father. Very beautiful. The name of the Father. And the name of the Father is Christ or Christus or Krishna. Same thing. So that is that little, if you ever get a chance of looking into the science of self-realization, look for that conversation. It is not too long. And a lot of the early German devotees accompanying Pater Emanuel Jungklausen and Srila Prabhupada in a beautiful dialogue between two different traditions. And of course, it's needless to say, Srila Prabhupada was very much in favor of Jesus Christ out of two reasons, so far as I can understand. One would be because Srila Prabhupada is preaching in the Western countries, where Jesus is held in high esteem. So as a preaching strategy, yes. But not only. He liked Jesus Christ because he was a preacher. He liked Jesus Christ's preaching very much. In this connection, I would like to mention two interesting stories, which are quite puzzling. One story, when Srila Prabhupada was walking with disciples down the road, and there came a rather challenging young man, and he challenged Srila Prabhupada about Jesus Christ, and Srila Prabhupada spoke about Lord Chaitanya, and then that man said, what do you think about the second coming of the Messiah? In a challenging way. Srila Prabhupada turned to him and said, the Messiah is already here. And also the devotees, Haribol, Haribol. So whatever that means, Hare Krishna. Of course, a pure devotee is a Messiah. There's no question about it. Hare Krishna. And the other comes from Govinda Dasi. She asked, she or someone, but she was there, Srila Prabhupada, who are you actually? Who are you? Because we don't even today, we say, oh, you're the founder Acharya of ISKCON. So the whole list is coming down, the Guru and the Guru Parampara, and we have all the answers. But who are you? We don't know who Srila Prabhupada is. Some saying Srila Prabhupada is a cowherd boy, some others saying, no, he's in the Gopi path, and so many. So they ask Srila Prabhupada, who are you? And a very interesting answer. If I would tell you, you would faint. Wow, that is a profound answer. How so? I mean, we're still puzzled, but I mean, who? What is Srila Prabhupada's spiritual identity? We will find out in the future. Right now, we don't really know. If I would tell you, you would faint. Well, it must be something very strong. It makes everybody faint. Okay. I want to read a little bit something here. Some jewels which I found on Facebook. I'm so lucky on Facebook. I have so many wonderful Vaishnava friends. And they're always, if I want to read something on my Facebook timeline, 90, if not 95% is all Krishna conscious kata. All. They're posting and I reposting. So here is a little story from Svarup Hebel. What's his name, his spiritual name? I forgot now. Svarupananda or something like that. Yeah. A Vaishnava or devotee of the Lord, his life is dedicated to the benefit of the people. You know, most of you belong to the Christian community. How Lord Jesus Christ, he said that for your sinful activities, he has sacrificed himself. That is a determination of devotee of the Lord. They don't care for personal comforts because they love Krishna or God. Therefore, they love all living entities. And all living entities, because all living entities are in relationship with Krishna. So similarly, you should learn. This Krishna consciousness movement means to become Vaishnava and feel for the suffering of humanity. That was from a lecture in 68 in Los Angeles. And of course, we know para dukkha dukhi. A devotee is feeling for the suffering of others. There is another one. Just pick out. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in law? Jesus was asked. Jesus replied, love the Lord with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. That was Bhagavati Mataji spoke of. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Hare Krishna. This is sometimes confused. Sometimes people say, no, it's not you love God and then you love the people. No, you love the people and automatically you love God. But that's not true. Loving the people is not automatically loving God. But loving God is automatically loving the people. And here's a statement from Srila Prabhupada, also a very profound, wonderful statement. If one loves Krishna, he must love Jesus, Lord Jesus, also. And if one perfectly loves Jesus, he must love Krishna too. If he says, why shall I love Krishna? I shall love Jesus. Then he has no knowledge. And if one says, why shall I love Jesus? I shall love Krishna. Then he has no knowledge either. If one understands Krishna, then he will understand Jesus. If one understands Jesus, you'll understand Krishna too. That is from a room conversation in 69. I think that's all I want to say. No, there's one more. Srila Prabhupada about Christmas. Oh, that's good. Srila Prabhupada about Christmas. Hare Krishna Prakashji. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna to you. Welcome. Rashmi is coming in and out. Okay. So, about Christmas. Now these Christmas holidays have begun in your country. Srila Prabhupada speaking. Throughout the whole month of December, you'll observe nice festivities. Why? It began with God consciousness. Jesus Christ came to give you God consciousness. And in relation to him, these festivities are going on. It may have degraded into another form, but the beginning was God consciousness. Now we may have lost it, but people cannot be happy without reviving God consciousness. It may be named differently, Krishna consciousness, but that means God consciousness. That is a necessity. We want to love somebody. Our love will be perfected when we love Krishna or God. we are teaching that. Try to love God. And if you love God, if you love Krishna, then automatically you love everybody. This is a perfection of love. That was in December 68 in Los Angeles. Hare Krishna. So, welcome, Ben, Jay, Chayantibai, Pandava Bhagavati Mataji, Rashmi Mataji, and iPhone. Hare Krishna. Welcome, everyone. We have quite something lined up for tonight, but I have a feeling, Pandava Prabhu, you have something to say about Jesus Christ, or not? We had Bhagavati so far. It's beautiful.
No, exactly. I wanted just so we could have some aspects. So it's great that Bhagavati said something, and
Yes.
you quoted. So it's great. That's not really. I don't need to. I don't need to add anything more.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So what we have lined up for tonight, we have a little bit of Krishna Book reading. Krishna Book is something light, and we have a quiz based on that reading. So watch the details as we read the story. It's a story of the deliverance of the wives of the Brahmanas, of the Yogic Brahmanas. And a beautiful story. I just read it, not even complete. And there's so many nice points there. There is so much philosophy in Krishna Book. It's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful. So let's get into this, and I will share the screen. And I would ask Rashmi Mataji, are you stable now with your internet? So prepare yourself. Rashmi's iPhone
Prabhuji, my
WEDC.
internet is struggling. So
Your internet is struggling.
yeah.
Well, shall we try, or shall we start off with Pandava? Let's start off with Pandava and see how your internet is getting a bit more stable. Is the iPhone, is that Krishna? No, iPhone is gone. So I have to be careful not calling anybody out back. Okay, so Pandava Prabhu, are you happy to read a little bit from the Krishna Book?
Sure.
Sure.
So from the beginning of the chapter?
From the beginning of the chapter.
So are you going to move the screen, or shall I read from the database?
I move the screen so we can all see her.
Okay. The morning passed, and the cowherd boys were very hungry because they had not eaten breakfast. They immediately approached Krishna and Balaram and said, "Dear Krishna and Balaram, you are both all-powerful. You can kill many, many demons, but today we are much afflicted with hunger, and this is disturbing us. Please arrange for something that will mitigate our hunger." Requested in this way by their friends, Lord Krishna and Balaram arranged to show compassion to certain wives of Brahmanas who were performing sacrifices. These wives were great devotees of the Lord, and Krishna took this opportunity to bless them. He said, "My dear friends, please go to the house of the Brahmanas nearby. They are now engaged in performing the Vedic sacrifice known as Angirasa, for they desire elevation to the heavenly planets. All of you, please go to them." Then Lord Krishna warned his friends, "These Brahmanas are not Vaishnavas. They cannot even chant our names, Krishna and Balaram. They are very busy in chanting the Vedic hymns, although the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find me. But because they are not attracted by the names of Krishna and Balaram, you had better not ask them for anything in my name. Better ask for some charity in the name of Balaram."
Okay, can we stop here a second? That is very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. These are the yogic Brahmanas. They are not attracted by the name of Krishna, and Krishna had to point that out. And so it comes more now why they shouldn't ask in Krishna's name. Better ask charity in the name of Balaram. So carry on.
Charity is generally given to high-class Brahmanas, but Krishna and Balaram did not appear in Brahmana family. Balaram was known as the son of Vasudeva, a Kshatriya, and Krishna was known in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda Maharaj, who was a Vaishya. Neither belonged to the Brahmana community. Therefore, Krishna considered that the Brahmanas engaged in performing sacrifices might not be induced to give charity to a Kshatriya and Vaishya. But at least if you utter the name of Balaram, they may prefer to give in charity to a Kshatriya rather than to me, because I am only a Vaishya.
Hare Krishna. Let me stop here. Can you say something? How would you characterize these Brahmins? I mean, they were Brahmins, but what kind of Brahmins were they?
We call them smarta Brahmins.
Yes, I would agree with that. But what is that? What is a smarta Brahmin? I mean, they were doing Vedic rituals, they were doing yajna, they studied the Vedas, all of that.
Caste type of sectarian understanding of perceiving other people in according to the varnas. So because Brahmanas are considered the highest class in society in varnashram system, so they always were treated with respect and fear. So Kshatriyas were the second class. From the story, for instance, of Parikshit Maharaj when he was cursed by this young Brahman boy. So that's the example of caste or very fanatical Brahmin who cursed the king, saying that, you know, how he dared to come to Brahmana's house and do such a thing, or wanted to take something. And there are many other stories when the conflict between the classes happened. So, but amazing point is that Lord Krishna himself, in the story of King Nriga, he instructed his sons to give full respect to the Brahmanas, and he said that I'm not going to forgive anybody who offends the Brahmanas, who I consider even higher than gods. But he was saying, Krishna was saying that even if the Brahmins are angry, if they so many ways disprove of anything with you, just don't take it seriously, don't try to fight or argue, that take it with humility, and that's the best way. Of course, it's a great way of teaching us respect, because Brahmanas are most of the time are the teachers of anything, and including spiritual knowledge. But if they are not the Vaishnavas, then they could be also a big challenge.
Yes, very good, very good. But yes, that was Srila Prabhupada's mood as well. But the Brahmanas have to be respected in any case, even if they're not Vaishnavas. So here, Srila Prabhupada pointed out, said, or Krishna is pointing out, that these Brahmanas said, don't even have any attraction of chanting my name. They don't know that I am the goal of all Vedas, chanting Vedic mantras, and they don't know what it is for. It's for me. I am the goal of the Vedas. There is a beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita 15:15. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I'm the compiler of Vedanta, and I'm the knower of the Vedas. So that is clearly showing that the aim of all Vedic knowledge, of all Vedic sacrifice, everything is Krishna. And we'll hear in that story a little bit more. Even the simple cowherd boys, if one is Krishna conscious, then automatically all the other Vedic truth is revealed to them. Okay, welcome, Amma. Let's carry on a little bit more. Pandava Prabhu.
Being thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the boys went to the Brahmanas and began to ask for some charity. They approached them with folded hands and fell down on the ground to offer respect. O earthly gods, kindly hear us, who are ordered by Lord Krishna and Balaram. We hope you know them both very well, and we wish you all good fortune. Krishna and Balaram are tending cows nearby, and we have accompanied them. We have come to ask for some food from you. You are all Brahmanas and knowers of religious principles. And if you think that you should give us charity, then give us some food, and we shall all eat along with Krishna and Balaram. You are the most respectable Brahmanas within the human society, and you are expected to know all the principles of religious procedure. Although the boys were village boys and were not expected to be learned in all the Vedic principles of religious ritual, they hinted that because of their association with Krishna and Balaram, they knew all those principles. By addressing the Brahmanas as knowers of all religious principles, the boys...
There's always a repeat of line, so you go a little bit in the second line and carry on.
The boys expressed the point of view that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram, were asking for food, the Brahmanas should immediately deliver them without hesitation, because as stated in Bhagavad Gita, one should perform yagya, sacrifice, only for the satisfaction of Vishnu. The boys continued, Lord Vishnu as Krishna and Balaram is standing waiting, and you should immediately deliver whatever food you have in your stock. They also explained to the Brahmanas when food is to be accepted and when it is not to be accepted. Generally, the Vaishnavas or pure devotees of the Lord do not take part in ordinary sacrificial performances, but they know very well the ceremonial called Diksha, Pashu, Samsta, and Shautramani. One is permitted to take food after the procedure of Diksha and before the animal sacrificial ceremony and the Shautramani, or ceremony in which liquors are also offered. The boys said, we can take your food at the present stage of your ceremony, for now it will not be prohibited, so you can deliver us the food.
Isn't that beautiful? Say, instructing the Brahmanas, and know as much, if not more, than the Brahmanas. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. Anyone has any? Yes?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they were not maybe demanding, but they were quite
They were quite bold, right?
They were not kind of, to me, too humble.
Yes. Well, they were boys, and they had the biggest, the killers of demons behind their back, Krishna and Balaram. So they were a bit, but they were very humble when they approached the Brahmanas, offered their obeisances, and
yes. But then, the whole narrative later, it's like, it's hard to imagine that, small boys are coming and they are starting to instruct the teachers what to do.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
But from another perspective, it's like usually elders are very happy to see children, and usually that tendency to share something with children or give them food should be more natural. So it's kind of interesting that the Brahmanas were quite silent and no any kind of human standard behavior.
Well, the question arises, welcome Rashika. The question arises, what would we expect? I mean, you very well pointed out, normally when children beg for some food, everybody would, their heart would melt and say, oh, okay, give them something here. So that is, we would expect what is going to happen now. But shall we read on and see what is actually going to happen? Carry a little bit on and then we have Rashmi.
Okay. Although the companies of Lord Krishna and Balaram were simple cowherd boys, they were in a position to dictate even to the high-class Brahmanas engaged in the Vedic rituals of sacrifice. But the smarter Brahmanas, who were simply sacrificial-minded, could not understand the dictation of the transcendental devotees of the Lord. They could not even appreciate the begging of the Supreme Lord Krishna and Balaram. Although they heard all the arguments on behalf of Krishna and Balaram, they did not care for them, and they refused to speak to the boys. Despite being highly elevated in the knowledge of Vedic sacrificial rites, all such non-devotee Brahmanas, although they think of themselves as very highly elevated, are ignorant, foolish persons. All their activities are childish because they do not know the purpose of the Vedas, as it is explained in Bhagavad Gita, to understand Krishna. In spite of their advancement in Vedic knowledge and rituals, they do not understand Krishna. Therefore, their knowledge of the Vedas is useless. Lord Chaitanya therefore gave his valuable opinion that although a person may not be born in a Brahmana family, if he knows Krishna or the science of Krishna consciousness, he is more than a Brahmana and he is quite fit to become a spiritual master. Do you want me to stop?
Okay, let's pause here. What is that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Naham vipro nacha narapati napi vaishyana shudro naham vani nacha grihapati navanashto yatirva kinto protan nikila paramananda purnam ritapte gopi patu pata kamalaya dasa dasa anudasaha. And the translation goes like that. I'm not a Brahmana. I'm not a Kshatriya. I'm not a Vaishya, nor a Shudra. No, I am a Brahmacharya, householder, sannyasi, or Vanaprashta. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. He is like an ocean of nectar, and he is the cause of the universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. Well, that applies somewhat, but it's not actually not the verse I wanted. What is that verse, Pandava Prabhu? Said it doesn't matter.
Kipa
vipra kipa nyasi shudra kenana. Yes. What does it mean?
No matter if you are Brahman, if you are Shudra, Kipa vipra kipa Shudra, if you know,
Vaishya.
if you know the science of Krishna, you can become a guru.
Yes.
Speaking.
That is the verse Srila Prabhupada obviously refers to here.
Mm-hmm.
Important verse. Okay, anyone has any questions so far? If not, you put up your hand, then we'll see who has any question. If not, I would like to ask Rashmi Mataji to read us a little bit further. It's absolutely a beautiful, very, very instructive story. Rashmi Mataji, are you happy to read us a bit? You seem to be stable on the internet now.
No, Prabhuji, I'm struggling, so I just asked somebody else to read. I'll listen.
Okay. What about you, Ben? Are you happy to read us a bit further?
Just bear with me a second.
Okay.
Okay, where are we up to? There are various details to be observed in the performance of sacrifices. They are known as Desha, place, Kala, time, Pritag, Drabya, the different detailed paraphernalia, mantras, hymns, tantra, scriptural evidences, Agni, fire, Ritvik, learned performers of sacrifices, Devata, the demigods, Yajamana, the performer of sacrifices, Kratu, the sacrifice itself, and Dharma, the procedures. All these are for satisfying Krishna. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the actual enjoyer of all sacrifices because he is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Absolute Truth, beyond the conception or speculation of the material senses. He is present just like an ordinary human boy, but for persons who identify themselves with the body, it is very difficult to understand him. The Brahmanas were very much interested in the comforts of the material body and in the elevation to the higher planetary residences, called Svargavasha. They were therefore completely unable to understand the position of Krishna.
Very interesting. What does that tell us for someone who aspires to be elevated to the heavenly planets, to Svarga? What does it tell us?
Well, according to what we just read, it says that they're more interested in bodily comforts and
well, they cannot understand Krishna. Naturally, we would conclude if someone is interested in bodily comforts, he is not interested or cannot understand the position of Krishna. But also if someone, I mean, it almost puts these yogic Brahmanas in the same category as fruitive workers. And in some sense, that is true.
well, there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that that people of lesser intelligence, they worship the demigods because they desire to go to the planets of the demigods.
So, well, could you just tell us what happens if we fall into this category? If we just after comforts and we're doing so many Vedic sacrifices and so Vedic yagyas and rituals and with the aim of getting actually elevated to the heavenly planets. What happens then once we are there?
Well, this is like the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas that people are performing pious activity, they're righteous people. So they get elevated to higher planetary systems, and they spend the duration of time there, but they have to come back again to this Earth planet to perform sacrifice and pious activities again, and then they get elevated, and then it's like a yo-yo kind of system, you know. It's like going up on the elevator and then coming back down, up and down, up and down. So that's the destination of people who are attached to worshiping demigods.
There's a very nice and also very important verse. Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai Bhakti Lada Beach. And it explains that we, the living entities, we, as you just explained, we're moving sometimes to Svarga, to the higher planetary system, and for tens and 100,000 years, we enjoy great sense pleasure, which is not available on this planet. And then we're going down again to Martya Lokas, his middle earthly plane, and down even to lower Patala planets, and up and down, and only by some good fortune, and by Krishna's arrangement, we meeting a bona fide spiritual master. How rare it is after millions of cycles up and down, all within the samsara and the material world. Then by that association of Krishna and the pure devotee spiritual master, we get the Bhakti Lada Beach, the seat of the kripa of devotional service. And that is our ticket out. Okay. Anyone has any questions so far? Let's go further. Ben, a little bit more.
When the boys saw that the Brahmanas would not reply to them, even with a simple yes or no, they became very much disappointed. They then returned to Lord Krishna and Balaram and explained everything that had happened. After hearing their statements, the Supreme Personality of Godhead smiled. He told them that they should not be sorry for being refused by the Brahmanas, because that is the way of begging. He convinced them that one who is engaged in collecting or begging should not think that he will be successful everywhere. He may be unsuccessful in some places, but that should not be cause for disappointment. Lord Krishna then asked all the boys to go again, but this time to the wives of those Brahmanas engaged in sacrifices. He also informed them that these wives were great devotees. They are always absorbed in thinking of us. Go there and ask for some food in my name and in the name of Balaram, and I am sure they will deliver you as much food as you desire.
So how does that ring a bell, Ben? I mean, you have been a book distributor, and others have been too, I think, Pandava Prabhu as well. Does it ring a bell? I mean, it almost sounds to me like Srila Prabhupada wants to encourage his book distributors. Don't be disappointed. If people say no, I don't take a book, no. Do you feel also that could very well be a hint in this direction?
Yeah, well, that's that's a true statement, because you could maybe ask 10,000 people, and maybe 9,000 people will reject you. So you have to be prepared to be rejected and to be disappointed, and you have to just accept it and not allow it to affect you.
Yes, I mean, the story comes to mind when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, as Srila Prabhupada, as he sent out his sannyasis, they were brahmacharis. Most of his disciples, if not all, were sannyasis. And he sent them out to distribute harmonists, which is a forerunner of Back to Godhead magazine. And they went to Navadvip, distributed, and in the evenings, and he asks them, how did it go, and so on. And one devotee said, I only distributed one magazine, and he felt really bad and depressed almost. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, you distributed one magazine. That is wonderful. One magazine, one soul saved her. And he really praised that devotee above every and anything. So that's, yes, we shall not be disappointed. And how can we be disappointed if we're distributing books and people say, no, 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 no? Or likewise, we're putting on 2 times a week a program and only one person or nobody shows up. We shall not be disappointed. As Srila Prabhupada says also, if nobody comes, we preach to the walls. Hare Krishna. Because after all, Krishna is there. We said to please Krishna, successful or not successful, it doesn't matter. Okay, anyone has any questions so far? We still have Ben, Jay, Jayantibai, Bandava, Rashmi, and Rashika. Do stay with us. We're getting... Okay, go ahead.
So, these Brahmans, they were doing these Vedic rites. Now, they don't know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's say if you have some prasad has been cooked in the temple, and some child comes to you and says, can I have the food? So you will tell that child that, no, you just have to wait until the food is offered. So these Brahmans, they were doing that Vedic rite and whatever. And so the ceremony, the food was being prepared so that after the yagya which they were doing. So they didn't know that this is Krishna. This is a Supreme Personality himself who's asking for the food. So for example, if somebody told us, I'm sure most of us would say, I have told my son several times that, no, wait, let the food be offered. So what I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to get to is that they did not know that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Neither did the Brahman wives know, but they had love for the Gopi wife. In Gokul, in Vrindavan, everybody loved Krishna. Not because he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because he was Krishna. And they just loved him for himself, not because he was supreme. So how can we criticize the Brahmans then?
Okay, there are 2 points, Rashmi Mataji. First point, we just read, I don't know if you were there or not there, we just read the cowherd boys. They have exactly stated that it is okay at that stage of the sacrifice to give food away. They knew. It wasn't that it wasn't offered. In the sacrifice, at a certain stage, after a certain procedure, food can be given away. So that's the first point. The food could be given away. And the second point is, if Krishna comes, of course, they didn't know who Krishna is. They thought he was a Vaishya, and Balaram was a Kshatriya. But if Krishna comes, even the food is not offered, we immediately rush and give him the food, of course, from that perspective. So both points are relevant in this story. So, but I find these Brahmanas were quite rude. They didn't even say a yes or a no, we have read earlier on her. So they just gaslighted, they completely ignored the cowherd boys. They thought they must have been thinking, we are such elevated Brahmanas and these are just some little stupid children. Okay. Does that answer your question, Rashmi? Okay.
No, Prabhuji, don't answer my question. See, if you just take yourself to Vrindavan for a minute, just imagine you're sitting on the banks of the Yamuna and you are doing a yagya over there. Okay? And these group of, on the banks of the Yamuna, how those small children are playing all the time. You see them playing, even late in the night they are playing. Now, you are doing your yagya and those children come and disturb you and say, give us some food. What will your reaction be? You will tell them to wait till the end, and then you will distribute the food. So,
no, which I just mentioned to you, and we just read it. There was a stage in the yajna. It was past that stage. Food could have been given away. So, which could mean the food has been already offered, but still they didn't give food away. And as Pandava earlier mentioned, you could look from another point of view. There's some cute little children coming here. Wouldn't anybody, if you're sitting on the bank of the Jamuna, in your example, the offering is done, everything is done, the yajna, some ceremonies still continue, but the food is offered, and some cute little boys coming around and asking for something to eat. Wouldn't your heart melt and you would give them something to eat from the yajna? Because it has all been offered already. Sure you would. Or would you say, no, I'm busy with my yajna, don't disturb me? Okay, that's the situation. Okay, let's move on. Ben, more.
I just wanted to make the point that
Yes.
The Brahmanas' wives, they did know who Krishna and Balaram were. Because Prabhupada says they were great devotees, and they were, well, Krishna said they were good, they are great devotees, and they were always engaged, absorbed in thinking of me.
That is the reason why Krishna sent. I mean, there seems to be two reasons. Krishna wanted to point out who the smarta Brahmins are, and Krishna wanted to please his devotees, the wives of the Brahmins. And the smarta Brahmins, later on we hear what is their reaction when they actually became enlightened, who Krishna and Balaram is, and so on. So let's carry on a little bit more. Yes, that is very relevant. I don't know where we stopped.
Carrying out Krishna's order, the boys immediately went to the wives of the Brahmanas. They found the wives sitting inside the Brahmanas' house. They were very beautifully decorated with ornaments. After offering them all respectful obeisances, the boys said, "Dear mothers, please accept our humble obeisances and hear our statement. May we inform you that Lord Krishna and Balaram are nearby. They have come here with the cows, and you may know also that we have come here under their instructions. All of us are very hungry. Therefore, we have come to you for some food. Please give something to eat for Krishna, Balaram, and ourselves." Immediately upon hearing this, the wives of the Brahmanas became anxious for Krishna and Balaram. These reactions were spontaneous. They did not have to be convinced of the importance of Krishna and Balaram. Immediately upon hearing their names, they became very eager to see them. Being advanced by thinking of Krishna constantly, they were performing the greatest form of mystic meditation. All the wives then became very busily engaged in filling up different pots with nice food. Due to the performance of the sacrifice, the various foods were all very palatable. After collecting a feast, they prepared to go to Krishna, their most beloved object, exactly in the way rivers flow to the sea.
That's very interesting. Very nice example. In the same way, exactly the way rivers flow to the sea. It means you can't stop it. You can't stop a river. Nor can you stop their attraction for Krishna. I thought when I read that, it's just like the gopis. There's actually no difference. The gopis' rivers of love and affection for Krishna flowed exactly in the same way. Okay, carry on.
For a long time, the wives had been eager to see Krishna. However, when they were preparing to leave home to go to see him, their husbands, fathers, sons, and relatives asked them not to go. But the wives did not comply. When a devotee is called by the attraction of Krishna, he does not care for bodily ties. The woman entered the forest of Vrindavan on the bank of the Yamuna, which was verdant with vegetation and newly grown vines and flowers. Within that forest, they saw Krishna and Balaram engaged in tending the cows, along with their very affectionate boyfriends. The Brahmana's wife saw Krishna with a blackish complexion, wearing a garment that glittered like gold. He wore a nice garland of forest flowers and a peacock feather on his head. He was also painted with the minerals found in Vrindavan, and he looked exactly like a dancing actor on a theatrical stage. They saw him resting one hand on the shoulder of his friend, and in his other hand he was holding a lotus flower. His ears were decorated with lilies, and he wore marks of tilak, and he was smiling charmingly. With their very eyes, the wives of the Brahmanas saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of whom they had heard so much, who was so dear to them, and in whom their minds were always absorbed. Now they saw him eye to eye and face to face, and Krishna entered within their hearts through their eyes.
So let's pause here a moment. Could you, as Pandava characterized Brahmanas, how would you describe the wives of the Brahmanas? Ben.
Oh, how would I describe them?
Yes.
They were obviously magnanimous souls, you know. They were enlightened as to who Krishna was.
Anything else to be?
Well, unlike their husbands who were, you know.
There's much more. What else? How can you describe them? Well, their minds were always absorbed. Always. Manmana Bhavamat Bhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru. Always think of me, become my devotee of your obeisances. So here, there were perfect examples of always absorbed in Krishna.
I mean, that was already said earlier, that the wives of the Brahmanas, they were great devotees, and their minds were always absorbed in Krishna and Balaram.
Great devotees. Can you narrow that down? What type of devotees?
We read that previously.
Were they pure devotees?
They were great devotees because their minds were always absorbed in thinking of Krishna and Balaram.
Yes. Were they pure devotees?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And they were also quite spontaneous attraction. We'll come to that. Okay. Carry on a little bit further.
Within themselves, they began to embrace Krishna to their hearts, content. And the distress of separation was mitigated immediately. They were just like great sages who, by their advancement of knowledge, merge into the existence of the Supreme. As the Super Soul living in everyone's heart, Lord Krishna could understand their minds. They had come to him despite all the protests of their relatives, fathers, husbands, and brothers. And despite all the duties of household affairs, they came just to see him, who was their life and soul. They were exactly following Krishna's instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. Once you surrender to him, giving up all varieties of occupational and religious duties, he therefore began to speak to them, smiling very magnificently. It should be noted in this connection that when Krishna entered into the wives' hearts, and when they embraced him and felt the transcendental bliss of being merged with him, the Supreme Lord Krishna did not lose his identity, nor did the individual wives lose theirs. The individuality of both the Lord and the wife remained, yet they felt oneness in existence. When a lover submits to his lover without any pinch of personal consideration, that is called oneness. Lord Chaitanya has taught us this feeling of oneness in the Shishastaka. Krishna may act freely, doing whatever he likes, but the devotee should always be in oneness or in agreement with his desires. That oneness was exhibited by the wives of the Brahmanas in their love for Krishna.
Okay, I think we have to pause here a moment. There are some very important philosophical points with oneness. Could you say a little bit more about that?
I mean, you could say that's the basis of Krishna conscious philosophy. As spoken by Lord Chaitanya, who said that the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the Vaishnava philosophy, is Chinta Beda Beda Tattva, that is meaning that Krishna is simultaneously one and different.
Why you think Srila Prabhupada specifically goes to great lengths to point out that Krishna did not lose his identity, nor did the individual wives lose their identity? Why we... Okay.
Is making a distinction between like a the monistic philosophy or the impersonal or Mayavad philosophy, where they state that God has no personal identity, but there is just an energy.
Exactly. To point that out. That is very widespread, this impersonal understanding that God is energy and he manifests in a human material form when he comes here. So that is, of course, a very big misunderstanding, and that's a distinction between devotees and impersonalists. What verse of Bhagavad Gita does that apply to? Anybody? I cannot see your hand most of the time because I don't have that panel open. You just speak out. What Bhagavad Gita verse? There's actually only one verse I'm aware of.
Is it the verse, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, no,
all these kings.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you or these kings, and never in the future shall any of us cease to be. So that's giving
exactly
an indication of eternal identity.
Yes, that's the verse. The only verse in Bhagavad Gita who clearly gives that individuality in the past, in the present, and in the future. Okay, any questions? Do mark these points. They will be covered in the quiz because they're very, very important philosophical points. The difference between impersonal and personal understanding. Okay, so go a little bit more further, Ben.
Krishna welcomed them with the following words. My dear wives of the Brahmanas, you are all very fortunate and are welcome here. Please let me know what I can do for you. You coming here to see me, neglecting all the restrictions and hindrances of relatives, fathers, brothers, and husbands, is completely befitting. One who does this actually knows his self-interest, because rendering transcendental loving service unto me without motive or restriction is actually auspicious for all living entities. Lord Krishna confirms that the conditioned soul can reach the highest perfectional stage by surrendering unto him. One must give up all other responsibilities. This complete surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the most auspicious path for the conditioned soul, because the Supreme Lord is the supreme objective of love. Everyone is loving himself according to the advancement of his knowledge. Ultimately, when a person comes to understand that his self is the spirit soul, and that the spirit soul is nothing but a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, he recognizes the Supreme Lord as the ultimate goal of love and then surrenders unto him. This surrender is considered auspicious for the conditioned soul. Our life, property, home, wife, children, house, country, society, and all paraphernalia, which are very dear to us, are expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is a central object of love because he gives us all bliss, expanding himself in so many ways according to our different situations, namely bodily, mental, and spiritual.
Okay, thank you very much. The question may be asked, we just here giving up all other responsibilities and just surrender to Krishna. Well, what does that mean? Should we just all walk away from our duties, our responsibilities, our jobs, our family, and just go to the forest and meet with Krishna? Or what does it mean? Who can say? It sounds like not very practical.
Well, Krishna did say that, or Prabhupada said that in this verse, that all these other things are all expansions of Krishna. So it's not that they're not important. They're important in that if you see them from a Krishna conscious perspective, then it's a different way to view things.
Very well spotted. Very well spotted. That is a very important point. And we should see it like that. All our household paraphernalia, country, society, house, property, home, children, and so on is not to be given up and be renounced to the Himalayas. No, these are all expansions of Krishna's energy, or here, expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we see it like that, and we can only see it like that if Krishna is number one. A question could be asked, and I think it's in some quiz. I don't think in our quiz tonight. A statement, should we fit Krishna in with our responsibilities, family, job, and children, and so on? Should we fit Krishna around all these things? The answer is actually no. We should not fit Krishna around our responsibilities. That delegates a secondary place to Krishna. Whenever we have time, we give to Krishna. Otherwise, family, home, friendship, society, and love are more important. So this gets things the wrong way around. The right way around is we should fit all our responsibilities around Krishna. This makes Krishna the number one. And all other family responsibilities and everything we fit around Krishna. This is not a question of time. I have no time. I have family duties. I cannot do this. I cannot chant, and I have no time. No. As soon as Krishna is number one in our consciousness, then that explanation, what Srila Prabhupada is just mentioned here, then we can see with that consciousness that Krishna is number one, Krishna consciousness. Then we can see that everything is expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be treated like this. Important. Then we're treating our paraphernalia and everything as an expansion of Krishna and in his service. Then it's a one before all the many zeros. So that is important mental adjustment. Yes, Ben?
Do you think that these wives of the Brahmanas, do you think they're wives of Krishna, or do you think they're gopis?
I don't know, actually. Maybe Pandava has something to say to that, or Bhagavati Mataji, or Rashmi. But all I can only see the parallels. These wives are just behaving like the gopis. They're not secondary to the gopis. They're just pure surrendered souls like the gopis. Except they're not in a Madhurya relationship with Krishna, or maybe they are somewhere secret. I don't know, but we don't hear that directly. What they were in their past life, I don't know. Anyone can shed any light on that? Pandava Prabhu, Rashmi? Who were these wives? They were very fortunate personalities, obviously.
You know, the question comes up, you know, because their husbands were all Brahmins, Mata Brahmins, but why didn't their wives have any influence or impact upon their husbands? They were all pure devotees.
When you have a stubborn husband, how can even the best wife influence his mind? Hare Krishna. That is a good question. Would you agree, Rashmi? If you have a stubborn husband who thinks he's always right and his wife cannot tell him anything, then what chance do these husbands have? But the story is not finished yet. Let's see what's happening here. So, okay, Ben, maybe someone else can read. Is there anybody else who wants to read? What about Jay?
I don't know if my connection or my voice can be heard nicely. I don't know if is it clear enough?
Yes,
Yeah.
very clear.
Oh, okay. Okay, I don't mind then.
So go on on that last paragraph. My dear wives of the Brahmanas.
My dear wives of the Brahmanas, Krishna said, you can now return to your homes, engage yourselves in sacrificial activities and in the service of your husbands and household affairs, so that your husbands will be pleased with you and the sacrifice which they have begun will be properly executed. After all, your husbands are householders, and without your help, how can they execute their prescribed duties? The wives of the Brahmanas replied, Dear Lord, this sort of instruction does not befit you. Your eternal promise is that you will always protect your devotees, and now you must fulfill this promise. Anyone who comes and surrenders unto you never goes back to the conditioned life of material existence. We expect that you will now fulfill your promise. We have surrendered unto your lotus feet, which are covered by tulsi leaves, so we have no desire to give up the shelter of your lotus feet and return to the company of our so-called relatives, friends, and society. And what shall we do if we return home? Our husbands, brothers, fathers, sons, mothers, and friends will no longer accept us at home because we have already left them all. Therefore, we have no shelter to return to. Please, therefore, do not ask us to return home, but arrange for our stay under your lotus feet so that we can eternally live under your protection.
Hare Krishna. So, first of all, lotus feet means protection. Well, because we spoke recently about lotus feet. Why lotus feet? Always lotus feet. Why don't devotees take a shelter of Krishna's protective arms or his smiling face, always with the lotus feet? Yes, because lotus feet give protection. That is just a fact. Why and how, I don't know. But the lotus feet give protection of the Lord. Therefore, everybody wants to have shelter under Krishna's lotus feet. Now, also significant here, first of all, again, it reminds one of the gopis. They're coming to the forest by Krishna's flute, and Krishna said, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. Go back to your homes, go back to your husbands. It's almost like he teasing them. Go back and say, that is not befitting you in the middle of the night, unmarried girls or married girls, and you shouldn't be here in the forest. So same thing here. Krishna sends them back. And he asking them, of course, he knows exactly why they came. They're his devotees. And he asks them, okay, so what do you want? What do you want? He asks them. And then he wants to send them back. And say, quoting Shastric reference, anyone who surrenders under your lotus feet, you promise you will not send them back. We don't want to, and that's an important word, we don't want to go back to our conditioned material life. They will eventually go back to their lives, but not to their conditioned material life. So not in the material consciousness. And we'll hear more about that. Any questions?
I was just hoping to ask, it just came across my mind that is Lord Krishna sending the women back because it's their dharma to serve their husbands?
That's a very, very Indian question.
No, it's just because like
sorry.
In one of scriptures that we read, it's like the women devotees, the sadhus, the brahmacharyas, the grihasthas all have their specific duties in terms of dharma, and for women it's like they should. Okay, it's stated that women should take their husbands as their god and serve them. It's like that's the duty of women. I don't know if that's why Lord Krishna was.
No, that's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That is the duty. And Krishna will actually send them back. You will see that. And send them back to serve the husband. And also because the wife is required in the yajna. No, of these Vedic yajnas, they cannot be performed without a wife. So they're sitting side by side with their husbands. We will read that in a minute. And yes, the wife should take the husband as a representative of God. But then the husband has to be also a representative of God.
True.
Not that the husbands want their wives to be like Sita, but they are not coming up to qualities like Ram. So it is a two-way qualification. The husband have to be qualified as Ram and the wife have to be qualified as Sita. Then it will work. Basically, both husband and wife have to be Krishna conscious, have to be devotees. Then it is a very nice cooperation.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I said that's the typical Indian question, because from the Indian side, yes, that is very well known. And husbands will feel very happy if their wives are like Sita. But for themselves, they're falling short of being like Ram in many, if not most cases nowadays. Okay, carry on a little bit more, Jay.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead replied, "My dear wives of the Brahmanas, rest assured that your husbands will not neglect you on your return. Nor will your brothers, sons, or fathers refuse to accept you, because you are my pure devotees. Not only your relatives, but also people in general, as well as the demigods, will be satisfied with you. Krishna is situated as the super soul in everyone's heart. So someone who becomes a pure devotee of Lord Krishna immediately becomes pleasing to everyone. The pure devotee of Lord Krishna is never inimical to anyone, nor can any sane person be an enemy of a pure devotee. Transcendental love for me does not depend upon bodily connection." Krishna said further, "But anyone whose mind is always absorbed in me will surely very soon come to me for my eternal association."
Okay, what is the Bhagavad Gita verse of that? Of that last sentence? Rashmi. Pandava. Bhagavati. Famous Bhagavad Gita verse. Almost the same verse. Nobody? Anyone whose mind is always absorbed in me will surely very soon come to me for my eternal association. Man manabhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. Always think of me. Always mind absorbed. Oh, raised hand. Okay, go ahead. Pandava, Bhagavati.
Hare Krishna, yes. I know it's just an addition, but once we had some homework to do, and I used this story, and I've read this chapter very thoroughly with not just from the Krishna book, but also from Srimad Bhagavatam. And exactly in this place where Jay stopped reading, if we look at the original text, Krishna gives really, it's a very, very wonderful verse. It's 10th canto, chapter 23 and text 33. And it's Krishna said to the wives of the Brahmanas, "It is by hearing about me, seeing my deity form, meditating upon me, and chanting my names and glories that love for me develops, not by physical proximity. Therefore, please go back to your homes." So this is like very condensed form of instructions of Krishna for the wives of the Brahmanas, not only for everyone, for all the devotees that, you know, in so many, I could say, even reflect on myself to whatever Ben was reading before. When I heard about Krishna consciousness at first, and was very inspired, and just exactly I did kind of opposite of whatever was said, that I couldn't see everything as connected to Krishna consciousness, because I gave up everything and just left everything. I can see over the years that was immature in so many ways, but in so many ways it helped me also join with the association of devotees. So this is very mature position when somebody can follow these instructions, be with the family, with the association. So it's like there are different stages of devotional life when somebody can practice to be devotees, to be a devotee with the association of friends or family which are not necessarily interested. So that's the big challenge also. But
Yes.
anyway, that's the other subject to discuss maybe some other time.
That was beautiful explanation and beautiful quote from the 10th canto. Huh? And that same applies with the spiritual master. It's not the physical presence. Of course, once a physical presence is there, then we have to serve that physical presence, huh? With all our heart and all our energy. But this association is of a hearing, of following the instructions of a Vani kind. Same with Guru, same with Krishna. Okay, can we read a little bit further? It's getting already a bit late, and I don't know how much more, but we surely are almost at the end of the pastime. Jay, carry on.
After being instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the wives returned home to their respective husbands. Pleased to see their wives back home, the Brahmanas sat together with them and executed the performances of sacrifices as enjoined in the Shastras. According to Vedic principle, religious rituals must be executed by the husband and wife together. When the Brahmanas' wives returned, the sacrifice was duly and nicely executed. One of the Brahmanas' wives, however, who had been forcibly checked from going to see Krishna, began to remember him as she heard of his bodily features. Being completely absorbed in his thought, she gave up her material body, conditioned by the laws of nature. After the departure of the Brahmanas' wives, Sri Govinda and his cowherd boyfriends enjoyed the food they had offered. In this way, the ever-joyful personality of Godhead exhibited his transcendental pastimes in the guise of an ordinary human being in order to attract the common people to Krishna consciousness. With his words and beauty, he attracted all the cows, cowherd boys, and damsels in Vrindavan. All of them together enjoyed the pastimes of the Lord. After the return of their wives from Krishna, the Brahmanas engaged in the performance of sacrifices began to regret their sinful activities in refusing food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could finally understand their mistake. Engaged in the performance of Vedic rituals, they had neglected the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had appeared just like an ordinary human being and asked for some food. They began to condemn themselves after seeing the faith and devotion of their wives. They regretted very much that, although their wives were elevated to the platform of pure devotional service, they themselves could not understand even a little bit of how to love and offer transcendental loving service to the Supreme Soul. They began to talk among themselves. To hell with our being born Brahmanas, to hell with our learning all the Vedic literatures, to hell with our performing great sacrifices and observing all the rules and regulations, to hell with our family, to hell with our expert service in performing the rituals exactly according to the description of the scriptures, to hell with it all, for we have not developed transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond the speculation of the mind, body, and senses. The learned
Carry on.
Brahmins, expert in Vedic ritualistic performances, were properly regretful because if one does not develop Krishna consciousness, all discharge of religious duties is simply a waste of time and energy. They continue to talk among themselves. The external energy of Krishna is so strong that it can create illusion to overcome even the greatest mystic yogi. Although we expert Brahmanas are considered to be the teachers of all other sections of human society, we also have been illusioned by the external energy. Just see how fortunate these women are. They have so devotedly dedicated their lives to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, that they could easily do what is ordinarily so difficult. They gave up their family connections, which are just like a dark well for the continuation of material miseries. Women in general, being very simple at heart, can very easily take to Krishna consciousness. And when they develop love of Krishna, they can easily get liberation from the clutches of Maya, which are very difficult for even so-called intelligent and learned men to surpass. The Brahmanas continued, according to Vedic injunction, women are not allowed to undergo the purificatory process of initiation by the sacred thread, nor are they allowed to live as brahmacharis in the ashram of the spiritual master, nor are they advised to undergo the strict disciplinary procedures, nor are they very expert in discussing the philosophy of self-realization. And by nature, they are not very pure, nor are they very much attached to auspicious activities. Therefore, how wonderful it is that these women have developed transcendental love for Krishna, the Lord of all mystic yogis. They have surpassed all of us in firm faith and devotion unto Krishna. Although we are considered to be masters in all purificatory processes, we do not actually know what their goal is because we are too much attached to the materialistic way of life. Even though we were reminded of Krishna and Balram by the cowherd boys, we disregarded them. We now think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply played a trick of mercy on us by sending his friends to beg food from us. Otherwise, he had no need to send them. He could have satisfied their hunger then and there just by willing to do so. If someone denies Krishna's self-sufficiency on hearing that he was tending the cows for his livelihood, or if someone doubts he is not being in need of the food, thinking that he was actually hungry, then such a person should understand that the goddess of fortune is always engaged in his service. In this way, the goddess can break her faulty habit of restlessness. In Vedic literatures like the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Krishna is served in his abode with great respect by not only one goddess of fortune, but many thousands. Therefore, it is simply illusion for one to think that Krishna begged food from the Brahmanas. It was actually a trick to show them mercy by teaching them that they should accept him in pure devotional service instead of engaging in ritualistic ceremonies. The Vedic ceremonial paraphernalia, the suitable place, the suitable time, the different grades of articles for performing the ritualistic ceremonies, The Vedic hymns, the process of sacrifice, the priest who is able to perform the sacrifice, the fire, the demigods, the performer of the sacrifice, and the religious principles all are meant for understanding Krishna. For Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme Lord Vishnu and the Lord of all mystic yogis. Because he has appeared as a child in the dynasty of the Yadus, we were so foolish that we could not understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Brahmans said. But on the other hand, we are very proud because we have such exalted wives who have developed pure transcendental service of the Lord without being shackled by our rigid opposition. Let us therefore offer respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, under whose illusory energy, called Maya, we are absorbed in fruitive activities. We therefore pray to the Lord to be kind enough to excuse us because we are simply captivated by his external energy. We transgressed his order without knowing his transcendental glories. The Brahmanas repented their sinful activities. They wanted to go personally to offer their obeisances unto him, but being afraid of Kamsa, they could not go to Krishna and surrender unto him. In other words, it is very difficult for one to surrender fully unto the personality of Godhead without being purified by devotional service. The example of the learned Brahmanas and their wives is vivid. The wives of the Brahmanas, because they were inspired by pure devotional service, did not care for any kind of opposition. They immediately went to Krishna. But the Brahmanas, although they had come to know the supremacy of the Lord and were repenting, were still afraid of King Kamsa because they were too much addicted to fruitive activities. Thus,
Hare Krishna. Yes, read that.
Thus ends
Last.
the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 23rd chapter of Krishna, delivering the wives of the Brahmanas who performed sacrifices.
Hare Krishna. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful story? Thank you very much, Jay. So, anyone has any question to that? I mean, there are really wonderful lessons to be learned. And even at the end, they were afraid to go and see Krishna Balaram because they still were addicted to fruitive activities. Okay, if there are no further questions, we're going to the quiz. If that is all right with everyone. Let's see how I can manage that. Up, Kahoot, loading up, post it. Hare Krishna. Okay, it is loading. Just take a minute. Please go in the meantime to kahoot.it. I'm just generating the game pin. Kahoot.it. Game pin is 8990509. Ready? Go. The wives of the Brahmanas were not Vaishnavas. True or false? It's a tricky question. It's done a little bit in a tricky way. Don't get misled. Yes, of course it's false. They were Vaishnavas. They were great devotees, pure devotees. Next. Then you leading, followed by Rashmi, Rashika, and Jay. True or false? The Brahmanas were Vaishnavas. That's easy.
The number so
You just click on the blue or the red antibody.
Uh,
The Brahmanas were Vaishnavas. They were Vaishnavas. They were not Vaishnavas. Oh, I'm getting mixed up. The Brahmanas were not Vaishnavas. They were Brahmins Marthas. False. Well done. Someone said true. No. Next. The antibody is moving up. Okay. No, J is moving up. The Brahmanas were caste conscious. That is easy. True. Everyone. Well done. Next. Ben, you're on a winning streak. Now we have Ben, Rashmi Jay, Rashika, and Jayanti Bai. Quiz. Multi-select. There are more right answers than one, more than one. Why did Krishna instruct the cowherd boys to ask charity in the name of Balaram? Not in his own name, in the name of Balaram. Multi-select. Yes. Well done. Everybody got that right. Balaram is a Kshatriya, so there might be more, because they were Brahmins, they might be more inclined to give to Kshatriya Raja to a Vaishya, because Krishna they considered to be a Vaishya. So Brahmins didn't like to chant Krishna's name. No, they didn't. Krishna is a Vaishya. Well, he plays the role of a Vaishya. Okay, very well done. Nobody selected Balaram is an older brother. That's irrelevant. Jay is on top now. Ben, you are slightly behind. Next. A quiz. Tricky. Yagya should be performed. Why? Bhagavad Gita verses. For Vishnu. Who said to counteract sinful activities? Who did say that? No. We cannot counteract sinful activities. We heard that story many times. If we do good yagya, if we do yagyas and you do good karma, it will not cancel out bad karma or sinful reactions. It will not. Okay, we have to get the result of both. Next. Quiz. What is the aim of the Vedas? 15:15, we spoke about that. That should be very easy. To know Krishna. Yes, everybody got that right. That is the aim of the Vedas. 15:15. Nothing else. Next. Jay, you're on a winning streak and you're on top of the pack. True or false? Oh. We mentioned it very, very briefly. I don't know if you got that. True or false? True. So where, because it's mentioned in the text, Srila Prabhupada mentioned they were spontaneously attracted. They were not attracted like they have to practice the principles and Vaiti Bhakti and regulative principles. They were spontaneous. Somehow, as they came, it would be interesting to know who they have been before in the previous life. I don't know. So we're on the Raganuga Bhakti, spontaneous loving platform. Next. Quiz. Don't get that wrong. They were constantly thinking of Krishna. Someone said they were learned in the Vedas. No, the wives were actually not learned in the Vedas at all. They were simple women. The husbands were learned in the Vedas, but they were more qualified because they were constantly thinking of Krishna. Constantly, that's the word. Like we constantly chant Hare Krishna. Next. Jay, you're on a winning streak of 8. That's too easy for you, Jay, I think. Type your answer in. One word. To survive, lose their individuality. It's mentioned in the text, they merged into oneness with Krishna. We have spoken at great length about that. I don't think everybody will get that wrong. No, that's the correct answer. Why it says here 2? I don't understand that. Does that mean only 2 got that right? I don't understand. It says here no on my screen, it says 2. Anyway, let's go further. Quiz. Multi-select, more than one is right. Don't be tricked. Okay. Someone said pure devotee rises to the mode of goodness, sattva gun, which is not the case. The pure devotee is beyond sattva gun. Shuddha sattva. Sattva gun is still material, so that could not be correct. But all the 3 others are correct. He becomes liberated, comes to the Brahma Buddha platform, Brahma Buddha Prasanatma. Nashochati nakangshati. He becomes Prasanatma. He becomes joyful. And is pleasing to everyone. That was directly in the text. Well done. Next. True or false? There was just a very short 1 or 2 sentences, a short paragraph. All wives. Who said true? All wives of the Brahmanas went to the forest to see Krishna and Balaram? Why is that true? Or rather, let's ask, why is it false? Ben?
I don't know. I got that one wrong.
You got that one wrong, Haribo. Jay, why is it wrong?
I think at the end it was mentioned that one of the Brahmana's wives was unable to go. Then during the yagna, she left her body, something like that.
Absolutely, that's the point. You missed that, Ben. Yes, she couldn't go. She was forcibly, by force, was held back, and she meditated on Krishna, and she left her body. So not all went except one. So not all. Next. Last question. Ben, you are on top, slightly above Jay. So Jay, you got that wrong before, probably. I don't know. Quiz. Last one. Is it a sin not to offer Krishna food? Because the Brahmins didn't offer Krishna food. Krishna asking for food. You could also read this question, is it a sin not to offer Krishna our food? Same thing. Yes. Who said one should try his best? That is a general philosophy. Anyway, isn't it? We try our best. No, that's not good enough. It is a sin. Which Bhagavad Gita verse confirms that it is a sin? Ben, which Bhagavad Gita verse? Jay, Rashika.
Those who eat food without offering it to me in sacrifice,
Yes,
verily only eat sin.
exactly. That's it. And in the text, also Srila Prabhupada mentioned it. It's a sinful activity. So can we all head back to Zoom? Well done, Ben. 10,600. So not far behind. And Rashmi, I think you had been booted out, therefore you lost some part of the game. Okay, here we go. Hare Krishna. Did you like that?
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to the end of tonight's. Time flies by. It's amazing how time flies by. Absolutely amazing. So anyways, that's what it is. Anyone has any final questions or comments?
Is there a real Christmas tree in your picture?
Well, what do you think?
It looks real.
It looks real. So it must be real, isn't it?
It might be an illusion.
It might. I don't know.
It might be the illusory energy. I don't know.
There is so much illusion here. You won't believe it, how much illusion there is.
Oh, maybe this bookcase is an illusion as well. I don't know. I think
Oh,
that's...
here you go. Who knows? And I won't say.
It's a picture. You just got a picture behind you. Very clever.
Can you do that? Can you do that? Put a picture behind you?
Yeah, if you want.
New wallpaper or something like that?
Oh, wallpaper. Yeah.
I don't know. That's one option. But that's not what I did. No, never mind. Okay. Any other question besides a very practical question of the Christmas tree? And the nice rose with Srila Prabhupada offering, and the Midangam, and the bead bag, and the Bhagavatam set, everything is there. Any comments? Any? Rashmi, say something. You're so quiet tonight. You want to share something with us? Yes. Usually you share something. Share something. Few minutes, bit of sharing. Are you ready to share what you have been reading? Rashmi Mataji, are you there? No? Have you gone to the kitchen? Cooking? Jayantibai, did you enjoy that? Rashmi, yes.
My phone is giving me trouble today. My phone is causing a lot of trouble today.
Take the iPad next time.
I don't normally do it on my iPad. And yes. Today I did it on my phone. So
go and do it again on the phone. Your iPad works perfectly well. Do you have anything to share, Rashmi?
No, Prabhuji, I have nothing to share.
Okay. Ben, you have any story?
Not really that I can think of the top of my head at the moment.
Okay. We'll leave it like that. What about Jay? Are you still working over Christmas? Our junior doctor, Jay.
No, I'm off over Christmas at least.
What are you have special plans for tomorrow?
No.
Or on New Year's Eve, you have special plans?
That's Monday?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, we have again, you do all come again on Wednesday. Wednesday is what? It's just a normal day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll have a normal Bhagavad Gita class workshop on Wednesday. It's a normal day. And on... No, sorry, that's the wrong week. On Wednesday is the 29th, and then on Saturday is a New Year's Day, next Saturday. So we'll do something special as well on New Year's Day. Is that okay with you? Will you come, Jayanti Bai, Jay, Ben, Rashmi? Next Saturday, New Year's Day, we'll chant in the new year. Not till midnight, perhaps. If you want, we go till midnight. But I don't think so. But we can chant into the new year. We just turn our clocks a couple of hours ahead. Back. No, ahead. Okay. So here we stop. Thank you very much. We'll see you Wednesday if you can, but for sure next Saturday for a New Year's party. If you want to help me, this quiz question take an awful lot of not time, but thought. Not only a question, I have to find 3 other alternative answers, and it is not as easy as I thought it would be. So if you want to help me, at least come up with some questions. Ben, you wanted to do some questions, huh? Send me some questions. You can do a whole Kahoot. You have the app on your phone. Do a whole Kahoot. You see how it is not that straightforward. It's to doing it is easy, but to think of the right questions. And then you can make your Kahoot public and share it with me. And then if it's a good Kahoot, we can just play it. 12 questions, not more than 12. Okay. And anybody else, Jay, if you have any question?
Well, I think that's a good idea to take a chapter from Krishna Book.
Yes.
Read the chapter and then to do the quizzes based on the reading.
That we'll do next Saturday. Again.
What you did today was a good idea.
Any suggestion for the next chapter? Rashmi, you have been reading Krishna Book with your father. What is a nice chapter too? I mean, this was a very beautiful, instructive chapter today. I haven't read that story.
I read about the Shamantak jewel today with my father.
Shamataka jewel.
But Prabhuji, I was going to ask you, are you not going to do Bhagavatam on Saturday?
Say that again.
Are you not going to do Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam?
We can. Shall we? But to make questions,
we are lagging behind. We are not moving ahead in Bhagavatam. We have been on Krishna.
Because it is Christmas. Hare Krishna. It is Christmas. To make a quiz on the Bhagavatam, I think it's almost impossible. At least on that section where we are now. But I have some general quiz in store. We can do that. We can place that. Yeah, we can. Yes, I know you're eager with the Bhagavatam, and we should. I'm aware of that. But I mean, it's just with Christmas. And last time it was just a test, really. A try to make a little bit something different. But of course, Saturday is still our Bhagavatam night. No question about it. Maybe we can do both. Or maybe we can even read half a chapter of Krishna Book. Or maybe only Bhagavatam. Maybe we can make... Rashmi, why don't you make us some question on the next 3, 4, 5 verses of the Bhagavatam? That would be nice.
Prabhuji, at the moment, I'm very busy. I cannot do anything other than attend. I can't do any preparation. I will do it eventually. Once spring comes, I will be hopefully a little bit more free.
Okay. Do you have time for eating?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks God. Thank you. Oh, very good. That always you keep that time. You have a nice Christmas dinner, something special?
Who, me, Prabhuji? No, nothing.
Nothing here also.
Nothing different. It's just any other day.
Here is kitri left over from yesterday. Hare Krishna.
Oh.
That's okay.
Oh.
That's okay. Okay, I better stop. Thank you. Hare Krishna. We'll see you Wednesday and Saturday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.